Hi, I'm Marley Houghton. I am a second semester junior at Bloomsburg University. I'm a political science major with a sociology minor. A fun fact about myself is I am the president of Tri Sigma here on campus. And I chose this topic because I am a feminist and very passionate about women's rights around the world. A part of my research was figuring out how women in China are treated in the workforce. For many years, women's rights have been an issue in China. There are many obstacles that women of China still have to face. There are still income discrepancies and unfair treatment in the workplace. These kind of hurdles are what continue to keep women in their traditional roles in China, but that's exactly what they want. Employers in China tend to favor male workers, and they prioritize them when it comes to hiring. They also do not have much support for women in the workforce. Women in China often do not receive maternity leave, which is a big issue that, really affects women's opportunities to become a mother and still work because they either have to lose their job or they don't go into working in the first place or they don't take certain promotions that'll keep them away from their children. During the Confucian era, the idea of men being the yang, which was the dominant and smart group, and women being the yin, submissive and soft, was prominent in Chinese culture. That idea still lingers today. The main effects of this theory being that the boys are strongly preferred as children than girls. One of the main controversies with women's rights in China is the one-child policy. The intent behind this originally was to help curb China's population problem. Unfortunately, this resulted in a lot of gender rights issues. In the Chinese culture, they feel that their boys will be more productive members of society. They can get any job they want, therefore, will carry on the honor and fortune of the family. When China implemented the one-child policy and parents were getting pregnant with girls, this was a devastation for them. Female babies were more likely aborted or put up for adoption, so the family can have another opportunity for a male baby, since they can only have one child. Due to the policy, which existed from 1979 till 2015, there was a major gender imbalance in the country. Another major women's rights travesty in China is the issue of foot binding. This required money and time, which led to it becoming a status of prestige. A small foot meant total femininity. Families looking to marry their daughters had to meet certain feet standards. A golden lotus was a 3-inch foot, a silver lotus is a 4-inch foot, and anything bigger was an iron lotus, and that was considered undesirable. Binding one's feet was met with excruciating pain, permanent damage, and unrealistic beauty standards. This process had to begin in childhood, when the feet are already small. The feet are submerged in hot water, the nails clipped, and the toes broken, and bent flat against the sole of the feet in the shape of a triangle. The feet were bound with a silk strap that got tighter and tighter over time. The girls are then forced to walk long distances to ensure the foot is broken in half. This practice lasted 1,000 years, and the last pair of lotus shoes were made in a factory in 1999, although it ended a little sooner. This practice is now disgraced in China, but young girls for years and years had to deal with this horrible beauty standard and were physically maimed by society. There is a long history of women's rights in China. Today, however, the rights of women are not defined or protected by their government. The patriarchy is upheld in their society, and it is affecting the women's economic equality. I have a suggestion, though, to help gain more equality. The United Nations Declaration on Human Rights guarantees the right to own property. However, there has been changes to China's landowning policies. This new policy is greatly affecting married women. They cannot own land unless it is in their native town, but they lose any land once they're married because they are no longer considered native to their villages. It also is typically titled under the man's name when it comes to landowning. In this case, of a divorce or widowhood, the women can be denied access to their land. When women are granted land, it is usually the poorest quality in the worst areas. I suggest we do something to help the women of China have freedom when it comes to owning land. The United Nations Declaration on Human Rights needs to be enforced in China. Another policy we could implement is an affirmative action styled policy for the workforce, encouraging companies to meet a certain quota of diversified staff. Have jobs encourage female employees that allow them to break free from their traditional roles as a wife and a mother. A policy that penalizes a lack of gender diversity at a workplace or incentivizes having women workers will help improve the percentage of stay-at-home housewives in China, allowing women to have more opportunities and financial freedom, which in the end is the number one solution to dismantling the patriarchy. The women in China do have work to be done when it comes to equal rights in their country between men and women. However, they definitely could be worse, and there are many countries that have bigger women's rights crises on their hands. Either way, China has had many feminist movements throughout their history and present day. They just have to fight to hold their government accountable and make sure that even if they are passing laws and policies, that they are enforcing them. With a few policy changes and enforcements, we can really turn around the quality of life for women in China. Thank you.